Coming off a strong combine, the Jayden Higgins hype is rolling. We are here to look at his tape, to look at his analytical profile, and give you some actionable fantasy football advice. John, Jayden Higgins, the wide receiver out of Iowa State, we have selected as our final rookie profile of the 2025 draft season.
27 profiles in the book. This is 28. And Matt, over the 12 years that I've been doing this, I'm used to profiling 2 Ohio State Buckeyes, 2 LSU Tigers, 2 Alabama Crimson Tide wide receivers among my top 12. This is the first time that I have 2 Iowa State Cyclones in my top 10 wide receivers. And Matt, they both deserve to be there. We did Jaylen Noel earlier. Check that out, everyone. But now tonight is Jayden Higgins, his unbelievably good teammate. Jayden Higgins originally went to Eastern Kentucky, which is an FCS program coming out of high school, everyone. He played 2 seasons there, and he had a breakout season in his sophomore campaign. He finished with 58 receptions for 757 yards and 10 touchdowns. He earned second team All-Atlantic Sun, Matt. He accumulated in those 2 seasons 87 catches for 1,151 yards and 13 touchdowns. He makes a decision, and he's going to challenge himself at the higher level. He moves up to Iowa State, which is a Power 4 program. And in 2023, Matt, he was honorable mention All Big 12 and Offensive Newcomer of the Year. He had 53 receptions for 983 yards and 6 touchdowns. He did average a whopping 18 and a half yards per catch. He had 5 catches over 40 yards. He surpassed 100 yards 3 times. And in the Liberty Bowl to close out the season, he had 9 catches for 214 yards, which were both career highs. And last year, Matt, he was even better. He was second team All Big 12, and he's sharing the field with Jaylen Noel. He had 87 catches for 1,183 yards and 9 touchdowns. Now, he averaged a little bit less, 13.6 yards per catch, and we'll talk about why later in the show. He had 6 games with over 100 yards. And what is interesting, he played 70% of the snaps out wide and 30% of the snaps in the slot. Matt, I like this young man. I know you've broken down the film. Tell our viewers what you like about him.
Yeah, when we watch the Jayden Higgins film here in a minute, what we're going to see is a guy with consistent hands. You know, he's got some good vertical ability. He's got good fluidity for his size, 6'4", 214, and we saw that athleticism was confirmed at the combine. He burns in a straight line along the boundary. Otherwise, not the most fast guy, but definitely still an exciting player. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into the Jayden Higgins tape here, and you're going to see right off the bat, nice little comeback route. He catches the ball, brings it in well. Along here on this play, good reaction skill, is able to get in front of the defender. But you can even see on that play, despite the fact he made a great contested catch, one thing that shows up consistently on Higgins' tape that is a big concern for me, he lets defensive backs jump his routes. He doesn't keep his large frame in front of the defensive backs, and that is a concern. Nice hands, though, and he wins over the middle of the field. Yeah, that's something you're going to see super consistently. He's winning over the middle of the field. And by the way, this is against Kansas tape that we're watching right now. Look at this athleticism, this fluidity. He's got a little bit of shake to his game, right? Moving east to west, he's not bothered at all. Look at that. That's a nice reception there, tracking the ball in well. It's a good contested catch, John, and we're actually going to watch this one back because you need to see it from the all 22 goal line angle as well. Look at that. That's good tracking ability, but he's not winning body positioning. By the way, here, watching against Kansas tape, you're going to see they're playing in the Chiefs field in Arrowhead. So that's just kind of fun. That was a fun quirk of this past season. Getting back to some actual Jayden Higgins analysis there. You can see he's running good routes, John, not like super technically sound. He wasn't asked to run the whole tree, but he's got a good drag route. He runs an effective comeback. I mean, he certainly can work the go route, the deep,
Nice.
deep out there, the deep post. So he runs enough of the tree. I don't think he's going to come up as a technician by any means, but, certainly not a liability as a route runner. That's a great catch right there.
He took a big hit.
He took a big hit and right on the ball too, right? So it would have been very understandable for that play to be broken up, but he holds on well to it. And so he's definitely comfortable working in traffic. He's not phased working over the middle of the field. My biggest thing when it comes to Jayden Higgins, and we're going to watch one more nice catch there to finish things off, some good vertical athleticism on display here. My big thing when it comes to Jayden Higgins is as I'm watching that tape, right? What did we see? Together, we watched it. We saw some good hands. We saw his ability to win over the middle of the field. He holds on well through contact. John, to me, he seems like a really good possession wide receiver, but he's a 6'4", 214. He's going to play along the boundary. And that inability to separate, letting defensive backs hang around, that's something you can get away with in the Big 12. You can't get away with that in the NFL. And I'm not saying that to say I'm out on Jayden Higgins. I just think we need to consider that. It's something I would call a profile mismatch. And it's one of these yellow flags that I've seen in the past, and that's helped me avoid some players. And I'm going to compare Jayden Higgins' fantasy football value to another player that I had similar concerns about coming out. But we're going to do that here in a little bit. I'll tell you, John, what I have zero concerns about: the value of being a rookie big board patron. Folks, we are going to get you ahead of your league mates and winning your rookie drafts. We have the 108-page rookie guide that dropped this week, Volume 1. Volume 2 comes out the Monday after the NFL draft with updated landing spot analysis here for all of these rookies. We have 2025 seasonal projections for every single Dynasty player. The rookies will get those projections over draft weekend as well. Dynasty rankings, Devy rankings, personalized advice in the Rookie Big Board Discord, available for $5 a month, folks. You got to get in on it. If you're watching all these rookie profiles, we're helping you build some good rosters. Head on over there, support us, and most importantly, man, help yourself win those fantasy football championships. Whether you're watching or whether you're listening, the link to join will be in the episode description here. So, John, maybe I got a little too negative there on the back end of the film talk, because when you look at the stats, man, we're going to swing right back to the positive side.
And, Matt, he does have a nice combination of athleticism, size, and body control when I watch the film. However, I am worried about the lack of separation also. I do think he looks like a wide receiver who would have been better about 15 years ago than he is in the modern NFL. He's 6'4", 215. And I have questions about him. I think some people are steaming down the railroad tracks on Jayden Higgins. I've seen people with him in the top 5. I don't have him ranked that high because I'm worried about big, strong cornerbacks locking him up at the NFL level myself. But you put him in the model, and you have to understand he played only 2 years at the FBS level. 140 receptions. That's pretty nice in 2 seasons. 15.5 yards per catch. Now, remember, he had the bigger catch rate his 2 years ago, and they used him differently. I feel like they threw to him more deep down the field. This year, I feel like they put him on a lot more short crossing routes. So I think they tweaked the offense a little bit, and that's why we have less yards per catch last year. Catch percentage, 64%. That's nice. Team dominator, 36% when he shares a field with Jalen Noel. That's pretty incredible. I mean, they basically had over 70% of the entire passing game for the Cyclones. And he does hit. I'm a big believer in this benchmark, receiving yards per team pass attempt. He exceeded the benchmark at 2.71. There's a role for Jayden Higgins in the NFL. But, Matt, I worry about his ceiling. And what we help here is our viewers draft ceiling at right value. What do you think?
That's the question, John. What's the right value for Jayden Higgins? Because you mentioned it, we're not, as high on him as some folks, but we're not off Jayden Higgins. We don't dislike Jayden
No, not
Higgins
all. No.
entirely. And the draft capital, I think, is going to be an important piece of the puzzle. And I do think he's going to go day 2, but day 2 late. So 51 to 102 for me. That's late second round or third round. I think that's the appropriate spot to expect Jayden Higgins to go off the board. There's certainly an NFL team that's going to want to add a boundary receiver. And what's going to help his draft capital too is, there's not a ton of boundary receivers specifically in this class. There's a lot of good talented receivers, but you have McMillan at the top. And then, it's kind of a little bit of a drop off there. What happens with Travis Hunter, right? And then, you kind of get to the middle of the pack and you get the Elijah Arroyo, Jayden Higgins, right? So he's going to be kind of in that run of wide receivers. And I expect, based on everything we've talked about with the hype, likely day 2 draft capital, I think his super flex ADP range, it's going to be 209 to 212 in most leagues. I think there's some leagues where he could definitely go mid-second. And there's going to be some leagues, if they prefer those other wide receivers in the mid-round, like a Jack Beck, like a like an Elijah Arroyo. I was going to say Xavier Restrepo, but probably not anymore. Right?
Not anymore. Sorry.
Not anymore. Oh man. There may be a preference there, and maybe he slides into the third round. For me, I think he fits into a flex filler tier. And when I say flex filler tier, for me, that is the guy. You're not necessarily going to have him in your lineup every week. He's not going to be a locked in guy. But, as those injuries pile up, you need somebody to slide into that flex spot. It's a serviceable starter in your lineup. He could have some big weeks where he's a top 24 wide receiver and scorer for fantasy. And he could have some weeks where he's throwing up goose eggs. I think that's the type of player that Jayden Higgins is going to be, at least early on while he finds his footing. If you told me his Superflex ADP projection was, 305 to 308, I'd be looking at like a really nice, healthy exposure to him. At the late second round, it's such a talented class. There's just guys I like more than him. And so I'm going to have between 0 and 10% exposure to him. I'm not saying I'm not going to have any exposure to him, but I'm not going to pay up for it, right? And the reason I'm not going to is because those concerns, John, and the way that I expect his volume to come in an NFL offense, his value comparison to me is Rashad Bateman, which if you've been listening to the Rookie Big Board for a while, you know that I was always lower on Rashad Bateman, and I got a lot of hate for it, including from Rashad Bateman on Twitter.
I was wrong on Rashad Bateman. I'll admit it.
Yeah, and I think it worked out just fine for me. And I'm not trying to put that on Jayden Higgins because Bateman is still a fine flex option, right?
He's a flex option.
Right. And if you're drafted in the third round, go for it. That's not a bad spot to be in. And John, I will say, finishing up these rookie profiles, it is never a bad spot to be in with the Rookie Big Board, in the Discord, with our rankings, with the rookie guide, with the personalized advice. I know I said it off the top, folks, but I'm telling you, if you have watched most of or all of these rookie profiles and you are not in the Rookie Big Board community, I promise you are going to love it. Give it a go. Try it out for 1 month. April is draft month. Head on over there, $5. Give it a try. I promise you're going to love the community. And most importantly, you're going to love the actionable insight and advice that's going to get you ahead of your league mates, help you win your rookie drafts. And although this is the last rookie profile, we are by no means done with analyzing this class. We've got a full Rookie Big Board crew mock draft coming up shortly here. Me and John are going to get into our ever popular sleeper episodes. So if you have a sleeper that you have not commented in one of our videos already that you want us to talk about in our sleeper episodes, go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know who you want us to break down. We got a whole lot of analysis, even more coming post NFL draft, a lot more heading your way. So I'll say it again, John. Class is going to be in session all draft season long, and we're going to be back real soon with some more rookie content.